Hi, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Shane at the Jackson-Madison County Library, and
I'm Jency.
And we're here to tell you a little bit about the Summer Writing 2020 for adults. This week, we're going to be talking about characters.
I'm not a character, am
Yeah, you're a character.
I? Okay.
Most people think an intriguing plot is what makes a good story, but the truth is that exciting characters are what make up a good plot. Not only are characters with hidden depths and secrets more fun to read about, they're also more fun to write about.
I like mysteries and thrillers.
So you know all about characters with secrets and things like that.
Yes.
So when you're writing a novel, you're going to have several different characters you're going to consider. The protagonist is one, of course, that you're going to have to think a lot on. The protagonist is the character that is your novel's starring role. In most novels, they're on some kind of a journey to obtain something that they want more than anything else. It could be fame, it could be revenge, it could be reuniting with a lost sibling, or it could be something more elusive like overcoming poverty or cancer.
And then you've also got your supporting characters. And this is, when you watch a movie, you've got the starring actor, actress, and you've got the supporting actor or actress. So the supporting characters are those that play an important role in the protagonist's life. I mean, they may be around them through their whole journey. They may just come into a certain part of the story. They can be friends, close relatives, love interest. I mean, you name it, they can be it. But the characters should also, as you're thinking about them, have their own goals and dreams for their life so that they're not just one-dimensional people that come in and don't really do much within the course of the story. Have their own story, have their own story arcs, give them the appearance of being, having growth and change, even if you don't see the struggles in detail. So when you're writing and thinking about your characters, whether it's the protagonist or the supporting characters, have their story in your mind. But that doesn't mean that the story has to play out completely within the course of the novel that you're writing.
Right. Sometimes it's about having the illusion of growth in characters that are not the protagonist.
Right.
And that's
I think it makes it more interesting when I'm reading something to have some things that I have to fill in the blanks for. Like, what happens after the story ends. You may not know a lot about these other characters, particularly in thrillers and mysteries. Some of the series, there'll be characters that you see in different places and they'll sort of mention bits of their other life outside the book, but you don't know the whole thing, but you know enough to feel like you can relate to that character.
Yeah. And then, of course, you have to think about your antagonist, your bad guy. There are a couple of different kinds of antagonists. There's the physical antagonist. That is when you have a living, breathing character that's standing in the way of what the main character wants. In the mystery novels that Jency likes, that would be the murderer or serial killer that they're looking for.
It can also be, a lot of these mystery novels, you have this antagonistic relationship between, the FBI and the local police. It's like, you're getting into my jurisdiction and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So there can be like sub-antagonists that aren't necessarily like the villain, but they create tension in the story.
And it's important to note that the villain might not always be someone who's evil or has bad intentions. It could be someone that's just getting in the way of what the character wants. So, if you've got a story about someone who's trying to get the starring role in a movie or a play or something, another person auditioning for that role isn't necessarily a bad person. They just want the same thing that the main character wants.
Right. And then there's also not only physical people that can be an antagonist or play that role in the story, but they're more ideas or things in the abstract in a lot of stories, whether that could be like an actual, a storm. And I can't think of names of books, but there's books where it's like man against
But it could
nature.
be concepts such as poverty, that person struggles with poverty, or if it's racism,
an illness that they may have that they're struggling with, corruption, all those sorts of things can become antagonist concepts or themes within the novel itself.
So there are a lot of different ways to give your characters depth. And there are tons and tons of worksheets and things like that you can find to help you answer, hundreds and hundreds of questions about a character. But all of those are great to have, and they're great to do to know all of the ins and outs of your character. So there are 4 steps to really solidifying your character and their journey. So you want to kind of go in different depths. Tier 1 is to give them a goal. Regardless of what kind of story you're telling, your character's going to have a goal of some kind. It's what they want. It's what they're going to be actively pursuing throughout the story. One example that we're going to use to kind of show you is something as simple as Lisa wants to go to college. She wants to get into a good college.
Sounds good. The other second tier is motivation. And a lot of times when you're watching a movie or something, that's sort of the question, one of the big questions you ask. What is motivating this particular character? Their desire to achieve a certain emotional state. And a lot of this motivation exists before the story even begins. It can be something that happened in their past that is sort of driving the action of the novel. It's the motivation and the goal is not the same thing. If Lisa wants to go to college, that's her goal, but her motivation may be to, certainly better herself. She may be motivated because somebody told her that she could never achieve anything. She may be the first person to go to college in her family. Mm-hmm. I've read some stories where the person pursues a certain career because they had a parent murdered or something, and they want to learn how to be a detective and
solve their parents'
murder, stuff like that. But it's the emotional reason that they want to achieve that goal.
And then tier 3 is where it really starts to get a little grittier. When you are making a character, the third tier is the deep, dark belief. Mm. So people, real people, you and I, Gen Z, everyone, usually has had some experience in their life that has caused them to believe a certain thing about the world or how the world works or something about ourselves. So, for example, Lisa, who wants to get into a good college, and she wants to get into a good college because she wants a good job with good benefits and a lot of pay. Her deep, dark belief would be that people who live in poverty aren't accepted in society. Mm-hmm. So that kind of dark belief starts to round out why she's motivated to go to college and get a good job.
And then the last tier is thinking about the origin of that deep, dark belief. So it may be a profound event in the character's life that led them to develop this belief about the world. So a lot of times this is usually traumatic, and it preys upon kind of our deepest human fears of abandonment, physical harm, ridicule, rejection. I mean, I'm not an example of that because I've lived 100% perfect life, you know what I mean? But so for the purpose of our ongoing Lisa example, so let's say Lisa's mother abandoned her to marry a rich man, and this led Lisa to believe that rich people are more secure and valuable, which is kind of her initial dark belief, which then leads her to want to become rich so she can experience that security, which is her motivation, which led her to want to desperately get into a good college.
Which links it back to her goal.
It's like the circle.
It comes full circle.
Of the novel.
So as you're building your character, you want to think about those 4 tiers, and you're going to ask yourself, what tangible goal does the character want to achieve? What emotion or feeling motivates them to achieve their goal? Why do they think that goal will satisfy their motivation? Mm-hmm. What belief is underlying the emotional motivation of the character? what experience or event underlies that belief. So what caused them to believe that in the first place? And you want to take all of those things and you want to put that together in a single sentence.
It's kind of like a mission statement for a person.
Yeah.
You think about organizations that have mission statements. Put that into a mission statement for maybe that character.
Make it nice and concise so that you don't get confused on what your character's motivation, their goal, their belief, and the origin of that is. It'll all be nice and concise. So that is just our quick little video on how to make well-rounded characters that are going to be believable and they're going to feel like real people. So next week we will do another video talking about setting and plot. And you guys can feel free to join the Writers Club on Zoom every second and fourth Thursday at 6 o'clock. We will be posting the link to that on our Facebook close to the time of the meeting so that you can join us. We've got a little group of writers who love to collaborate and talk with one another and encourage each other. So we would love to see you there. And then, of course, in July, we're going to be doing Camp Nano. So we'll be doing write-ins every Saturday. And I hope you guys can join us for those. And I believe Jency's got something else as well.
Yeah, I mean, a part of writing is just writing. Sometimes you have to just start writing and then figure some stuff out, and then you can sit down and be more specific with your characters and things like that. But just getting into the habit of writing is really important. And so one of the things with our summer library program, if you are participating in that program, which hopefully through this you are, is that everyone's going to get a journal when they register for our summer library program, and then you can pick this up at the main library or the North Branch, and you can use this to write notes about the stuff that we're doing in these videos. But you may also want to take some time to just do some journaling in general. Write without judgment, which is really important, because I'm one to want to edit as I go. That first sentence has to be like perfect.
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother discussion in and of itself. But if you just allow yourself to free write and write your own story, which I've got some journal prompts that you can pick up with your journal that just has like 50 or so just general questions that you can think through for yourself and write about, so you can sort of do both of those throughout the summer. And within Read Squared, I have some missions that are specifically related to journaling every day. And then you can earn a badge, a digital badge. And I think that'll help you get into that writing habit and better be prepared to walk through these steps.
To tackle writing a novel. You guys be sure to look at the description for resources and things like that. We'll have some links to help you guys out. And we hope we will see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye.